Welcome to another basic class of chemistry, and in this chapter of chemical bond there is a point like explaining about octet and duet rules, and this is very important for you to know what is octet rules and what is duet rules. Though I have written something in the board that octet rules refers to the tendency, and this tendency we need to understand that what is the reason for tendency. The tendency of atoms to prefer to have 8 electrons, and you know that the most stable electron configurations of elements we have in group number 18 like helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon and radon, as because you know that those are called inert gas as because they do not show the tendency to form any molecules or any bonds, so that they have the 8 electrons in their outermost shell, and so that they don't feel the tendency. And that is why they don't accept or donate or share electrons, and that is why all the atoms shows the tendency to have these 8 electrons in their valence shell. So if you want to say that what is the octet rules, then you say that the octet rules refers to the tendency of atoms to prefer to have 8 electrons in their energy shells. Like very simply, which is already explained, that when we think about methane and whatever anything, like when this is a covalent compounds, you know that what is covalent bonds and covalent compounds. This is covalent compounds. Before going to explain it, I want to give you another things, that what is duet rules. So duet rule states that hydrogen and helium may have no more than 2 electrons in their valence shells. It means it has more elaborations. I am coming up with the duet rules. Before going to explaining duet rules, do you understand the concept of octet rules is that the tendency to have 8 electrons in their outermost shell. Like what's going on in methane? Carbon has 4 electrons in their outermost shell, and you know that carbon, this is nucleus, this is the first shell and this is the second shell. So you know that in 1s orbital it has 2 electrons, in 2s orbital it has 2 electrons, and in p orbitals it has 2 electrons. When 4 hydrogen come together, then what's going on? I mean, this hydrogen has 1 electrons each with their own 1 valences, like here. So what we think? We say that carbon obtains 8 electrons in its outermost shell, because carbon shared 4 electrons. It's not donating or accepting electrons. Carbon shared these 4 electrons with 4 hydrogens. So hydrogen got 2 electrons in its outermost shell, and then it got the electron configuration like helium. As we know that helium will have only 2 electrons, and thus it is stable. So by sharing 1 electron with carbon, all hydrogen got the electron configuration like helium. And you see, like carbon, when carbon shared 4 electrons, sharing these 4 electrons, it got 8 electrons in its outermost shell, and thus it appears, it actually gains the electron configuration like helium neon. So neon has 10 electrons. Now you see carbon has similar 8 electrons outside and 2 electrons. The sharing means it has the similar number of electrons. So hydrogen will appear with 2 electrons like helium electron configurations. So all hydrogen will be like helium and carbon will be like neon, as because carbon has 8 electrons outside, thus it gets the stability. And as because all the elements, those who shows the tendency of atoms, tendency of carbon atoms to have 8 electrons outside, this is called the octet rules. This is called the octet rules. And what about the duet rules? The duet rules is that we can say it that according to the modern theory, duet rules means that when molecules forms and atoms share their electrons, usually more than one pairs of electrons, like this is one pair, two pairs, three pairs and four pairs. We have four pairs of electrons in methane molecule. So in this methane molecule we have four pairs of electrons. As electrons tends to have pairs of electrons, so these pairs is called the duet rules. Like hydrogen will have no more than 2 electrons in its valence shell, and helium has its own 2 electrons in its valence shells, so that both they will show the duet rules. And like others, like this, when the shared electron, then the shared electron has the pair of electron, like more than one pairs, and as this is happening like with the pairs of electrons together, this is called the duet rules. So very shortly, the octet rules are the tendency of atoms to prefer more than 8 electrons, and according to duet rules, when electrons share, they share as a pair of electrons. So electron remains as pairs, and this is called duet rules. So from in a periodic table from 1 to 20, like from hydrogen to calcium, you see when they forms any molecules with each other, they follow the octet rules and the duet rules. So I hope you understand the octet and duet rules, and if you don't, then please let me know. And of course in this class I shall be more explainable in the next videos that I'm coming up with the ionic compounds and ionic bonds, and also the covalent compounds and covalent bonds. So see you on the next class. Stay well, stay blessed. Bye.